Now, Jagat and Icke spend a good 15 minutes talking about what's wrong with woke identity politics through the lens of the illusion of identifying with labels, because we're all one consciousness. So political activism actually contributes to division, and the billionaires support it while being fronts for the real evil cult.
This is why this spiritual or wellness scene as it stands has basically been hijacked, and we've seen a lot of this in 2020 in the wellness industry. It's been hijacked by all of this kind of woke agenda.
100%. Round of applause. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The identity politics is the work of the cult. Why?
Oh, wow.
Because you have a perception that you're a man and a woman and you're this race or that race. Okay, that's kind of been constant through the period. But now those original labels are being broken down and subdivided into minutiae of detail. That's why this series of letters, LBGT, blah, 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 is getting longer and longer and longer, as people seek to self-define themselves with smaller and smaller, more defined labels. And the reason that they are confusing gender is because this is a process, a stepping stone, totalitarian tiptoe, I call it, from confusing gender to fusing gender in the no gender human.
And if they're just from the kind of yogic science background, if you're messing around with people's hormones and biology and their genetic material, then part of what creates a sovereign thought and pineal gland secretion and all the kind of biochemistry of being a sovereign human is your hormonal and neural kind of cascade. So it would make sense that the bioweapon is going after the natural cascade of the neural hormonal kind of interplay.
It's really convenient to talk about the hijacking of wellness and yoga through the woke agenda in the same year that this person's guru basically gets canceled by a Me Too movement. So that's right there in the background. It's hovering around. Also, the anti-trans rhetoric around degendering or moving towards the non-gendered person gets right into the wheelhouse of Kundalini Yoga's gender essentialism, and Bhajan's own absolute fascination with who men are and what they're supposed to do, or what he's supposed to do, and who women are and what women are supposed to do. So there's a super conservative, regressive sexual politics that is it's laid the bedrock for David Icke just coming on and seeming to make sense on her show.
Yeah, and then the second layer of hijacking, which is what we cover on this podcast, right? So she's saying it's been hijacked by woke, and actually she's an exemplar of how it's been hijacked by conspirituality.
Right. I also didn't realize until you pointed this clip out, this whole video, I didn't realize what a spiritualist part of the conspiritualist icon Icke actually is. I didn't realize that when I heard him say, they, the Illuminati, the Cabal, want to prevent us from getting out into the great beyond. I guess I hadn't really associated him with the same kind of metaphysical exaggerations that we would hear from somebody like Yogi Bhajan or another yoga leader.
Yeah, I was struck by how calm and sort of measured he is in talking such absolute far-fetched bullshit.
Right.
But if you're aware of David Icke, he came along in the 90s in England after having been a football player and did the whole talk show circuit. For some reason, they decided to platform him back then, saying that he had realized that he was actually Jesus Christ.
Oh. Okay.
And that's how he started. And so he was immediately a laughingstock, but also gained a whole bunch of followers. And since then, he's released, I think, a total of 8 or 9 books, step by step unfolding this big conspiracy narrative. But at the heart of it is this idea that the dark cabal wants to stop you from realizing your true spiritual nature, for sure.
Why is it always Jesus? Can't they pick someone else? Like across the board, it's always Jesus. I want to point out, though, in this thread, too, with the same LGBTQ comments, though, I did watch part of the video, not what you sampled, because I couldn't. Thank you for doing an hour and 40 minutes. I would never. But like, I happened to scrub to a part where he was talking the same bullshit about Black Lives Matter. And the whole, like, this is, we are only in this body for a short period, and this and bullshit nonsense. And that, BLM was funded by billionaires without any proof, of course. I don't know where that came from, but it's funded to purposefully divide us. And the level of privilege that it takes to be able to say such things and be serious about it. And I'm watching, and I came across somewhere where Guru Jagat said in her conversations, it's not always an endorsement, it's conversation. She doesn't agree with everything. But the problem with that is she's just sitting there shaking her head and like, yes, as he's saying this about BLM, and it just blows my mind.